Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Coffee and Coaching. This series was created for you. Yes, you. Giving you access to real, unfiltered conversations, impactful conversations for that matter, with real life coaches. So think about this as your free coaching session, and we let you peek in so you can listen and learn something. Today, we decided to dive into a topic that our high-performing listeners frequently face, which is why you're still not getting promoted. And what is the one skill that if you improve today will help you crush it? And you are doing amazing in your job, you're killing it, you're doing your best, but yet somehow you keep seeing that announcement come up of guess who got promoted? And it was not you. So if that has been you at any point in your career or is happening to you right now, please tune in because our expert of today, this is one of our areas of expertise. I'm thrilled to introduce my guest, Tammi Teague, an incredible coach with whom I share years of experience, both in corporate roles and now in our joint ventures, being full-on entrepreneurs in this coaching business. Tammi is highly valued for her strategic thinking and her deep insights. And what I love the most about her, even when we talk about in personal life or professional or corporate or in this journey, is that she possesses the opposite Gallup Clinton strengths that I have. So she always gives me her perspectives in a very sound manner. She's very strong in seeing connections between people and workplace. And she also is really good at figuring out how to put herself in your shoes and give you the best strategy that will work for you. In this session, we tackle questions from real people and we talk about what is it to advocate for yourself. So the skill that will get you from where you are to where you need to be is all about self-advocacy. So what is self-advocacy and what is advocacy in general? And how do you know if you're doing it right or wrong? What I can tell you is Tammi and many coaches have proven that this is not about brown nosing or being schmoozers or being unauthentic. There's always a way for you to advocate for yourself without being too self-promoting. So grab your coffee and your water. In this case, water, because Tammi is a tea drinker. So shout out to the tea drinkers out there. And let's dive into the conversation that will probably provide you with more practical framework than you ever had on this topic. Let's go. Today, you have a topic. So for those of you who are new to the whole coffee and coaching session, this coffee and coaching session is basically two coaches that coach people for a living. And we have plenty of experience of coaching but also seeing experiences of people in the corporate world, in the work world, or in just in life. And sometimes coaches have these conversations offline quite often. So I'm trying to air them out in the air and have those conversations that we see so common, almost like we see it and we're like, oh yeah, we've seen this play before, or we've been here before. Yeah. And so instead of keeping them in closed doors, we're sharing them with you. But typically with me, it involves coffee. Today is McDonald's coffee because it's just that kind of morning. It's just that. And Tammi, you have coffee or water? Are you a coffee drinker?
I'm doing water today because I had a late flight and I've got to hydrate. So water is what I'll be drinking today.
What is it like? I don't know if it's with age, but I'm like, I feel like after I travel, I get more dehydrated than usual these days. So I'm like, I need water like for 2 days in a row.
Exactly. Plus, I drink other things on the plane. We won't talk about that. So it's water today. It's water today.
It's going to be water. I love it. So today we're talking about advocacy. So recently at HIK Trainings, we just published an article with ATD around why am I not getting promoted? And it's a really great article. We're going to post it so you can access it and read it. But there's many takeaways there, but this is something that, Tammi, I'm going to let you talk to it, but we see it all the time. And one of the skills that we're going to discuss today is something that can help with that situation. So we're going to talk about advocacy, which is something that happens quite often. Like, how often do you see you having to coach someone on advocating for themselves?
If I had to give it a percentage,
yes,
it would probably be at least 70% of the time. And the crazy part about it is it usually starts with self-advocacy and people really understanding. I always say, start with what is it that you want? A lot of times people sort of say, well, I want to get promoted or I'm looking to do this, and that, but they haven't really narrowed down what is the thing that they want. And then they haven't started to give examples, show their work, demonstrate why they would bring value to whatever it is. So those are the two things I start with all the time. Number one, know what you want. And then number two, show your work. Let me give you a quick
Mm,
example about show your
yes,
work.
yes,
So
please.
do you
Because I'm like,
remember when you were in grade school and you, especially because you are a bright person, your mind works really fast. So you would work out math problems and, it would be X times 3 equals whatever, whatever. And you
yes,
would be like, the number is 9.
yeah,
And the teacher would say, how did you get there? Or show your work, right? Show me the steps that it took to get there. As we grow in our careers, we sometimes, because we are natural born and have natural talents that
yeah.
help us do things very quickly, we forget to show our work. And leaders do it all the time. And I think advocacy starts with showing your work because your advocates need ammunition. They need information to talk about what it is that you have done. And often we forget that. So those are the two things. Number one, know what you want, and then show your work so people know what to talk about. That's where I start.
Let me just share this openly with everyone listening. And by the way, we're taking questions. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat and I'll have our team at HIK let us know that they're there so we can answer them. So this is the thing when you're a coach and you talk to another coach, especially like Tammy, who's very well versed in this topic. Like you want to just start taking notes, even though you're a coach yourself and you do this for a living and you're like, oh my God, because there's always that one thing you're like, I need to bring that up to my client next time because that is a good one. And the other part that I'm like laughing about is you just describe my math life in elementary school, middle school, and senior year. And my daughter today, it is her number one problem is that, the answers is blank. And the teachers are like, oh my God, this girl has some amazing math brain. How you
Okay.
got there? She's like, it just makes sense. What do you mean? And how many of our top performing clients that are like trying to break that glass ceiling are like, I did it because I can do it and I'm amazing and I'm awesome. But now you're
It's
not.
natural.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
not giving tools to your manager or the people in the and it's like you as a leader, and you've been a leader too. I can't go to a promotion table and be like, "Yeah, let me tell you what, she's awesome." It's like, "Why?" It's like, "I can't tell you. I can't tell you. It's
All
just
the
not
time.
that brain, you know?"
Yeah. 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 I think too, and especially, for women and people of color, often
Mm.
we get things done because it is our natural inclination to just make sure you get through whatever it is, right? Someone gives you a challenge and you achieve it. Someone sets a goal and you exceed it. Often, though, advocacy is around relationship building. And it is around people understanding what value you bring. So while you're off over here doing, and making things happen, you're not building a relationship. You're not telling people what it is that you have done, giving them that ammunition to advocate for you. You're not helping them to see the value you bring. And it is a bit of a double edged sword because we often talk about deliver results. So you're off delivering the results, but you're not sort of narrating the process as you go through and helping people understand what it is that you're doing. And here's the other
Mm,
nugget that I share with people. What gets in the way is that often we hate to brag. And so, what I
mm.
tell people
Wow.
is stop thinking about it as bragging and think about it as facts. It is a fact that I exceeded the goal by X%. It is a fact that I organized the team, that I worked with the vendor. Whatever it is that you have done, think about it as facts. Share facts with people. So,
Whew.
there's a lot in that, I know, because the bragging thing is hard,
Yeah.
but I really want people to walk away from that and to start really thinking, what are the facts? Share the facts.
Yeah. I have two things to that because we just recently had an interview with one of my favorite leaders on Microsoft, Demetra, and one of the things she said was, "Have your own board of directors. Have your own board of directors
Yeah.
of people that are, like, speaking in behalf of you and know who they are." And I think that, you talked about relationship building. I am a natural born introvert, and I have selective relationship building skills.
Selective.
Selective relationship building skills. I'm working on it, but needless to say, how do you build relationships with that board of directors? How do you even start? Because I bet you, and this is something that we talked about in the ATD article, the top performers are spending 100% of their job, 100% of their time on doing their job, being
Yeah.
amazing at it, and doing it 10 times fold. I do it faster than anybody else. The people that get promoted, and this is what we have seen at HIK Trainings in our coaching, is that spend about 30% of their time. Think about it, 30% of your time in a week. Think about a week alone, right? On how am I going to get to the next level? On
Yeah.
building that relationship to get me to the next level. And the question I ask often, and I'm like, do you really want the next job, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like, sometimes we feel like we have to. Like, it's a natural progression of things. Or do you really and it means a lot of things for many people. For some people, it means that you made it. For other people, it means that you get a pay increase. For
Yeah.
other people, it means all these things. But it also means a change in your current job description, a change in your role, and a change of responsibility. How do you encounter that, right? Because if you want to get the next job, then you're going to have to eat the frog, which is the part of the
Such an
part of
image.
yeah, it's such an image. I was getting but yeah, I'm assuming you're seeing it often too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think a couple things. I love this idea about having your own board of directors. I think that is a beautiful and very accurate way to think about managing your career. I
Mhm.
also think your point about 30% of the time focusing on the next role, listen, that is gold because studies show that people, even in this day and age, believe if I keep my head down and do the work, I'll get noticed and it will all work out. And that's just not the case for a
Yeah.
number of reasons, right? Number one, leaders and especially executives are bombarded with information all the time, right? So they are not only watching the results of the organization, they're looking at the team, they're looking at the external environment. And so they need information about the individual, Tammy or Karol, and what it is that they are doing to contribute to the outcome of the organization.
Mm.
That is not just a natural thing that just comes up for people. But number two, there are lots of people that they are also tracking. So, how do you differentiate yourselves? So, the way that I try to coach people is to start with a small group like the board, like you mentioned, and be specific. So, let's say you've got 3 people on your board, right? And one of them is in your company, one is outside the company. I would share with them 1 or 2 specific things, at least quarterly, about what it is that you're working on. Go back to the facts. And
Yeah,
I would share both the wins and the near wins. I'm not going to call them losses because we learn from everything.
we do.
But there are some times where the win is clearly, you knock it out of the park, and other times you just take a step forward. Both of those count, and both of those demonstrate whatever your capabilities are. It might be that you are influencing better. It might be that you are winning more customers. It might be that you are exceeding and meeting goals, whatever those are. But I would be specific and share those. And
Yeah.
then the last thing I tell people is ask people to share what you share with them. That's where advocacy begins, right?
Yeah.
If I share something with my mentor and they say that's great, I would say, hey, at the next opportunity, if you can bring that up, or are you comfortable sharing that at the next leadership meeting,
Yeah.
right? And it gives them that ammunition and gives them an opportunity to share. Because advocacy is what's going on when you're not in the room, when you're not at the meeting. So you want to sort of plant those seeds for people to be talking about you when you're not there.
I
Last thing I want to say, this idea of do you really want the next job? Like, I think that that is really back to where, what is it that you want,
Mhm.
right? What is it that you really want? And it's okay if you don't. I still think practicing advocacy is critical because whether you want the next promotion, got it, that's fine. But when it comes time for increases, when it comes time for discretionary spending towards learning and development, when it comes time for who gets the next opportunity or the next experience for exposure, all of those things still require advocacy. Someone to be in the room that you're not sitting in, where the decision is happening, to be speaking about you and the work that you've done.
I so love it. I can take this so many places, but I do want to bring up 2 things. One, what comes to mind with the advocacy thing, and this is a like I'm coaching myself right now. I'm like, because I am a hard worker. I am a number 1 achiever, number 2 activator. I can start. It's a strength and also a weakness sometimes, but I feel like, what comes to mind to me is like whatever you resist persists. So
Absolutely.
the more you keep pushing back and saying, I don't want to advocate for myself. I don't want to do it. I don't do sales. I don't want to sell myself. Like my work will speak for itself. Let's say you leave that company and go to the next job. it's gonna find you there. And then you're gonna
Absolutely.
leave that company, gonna go to the next, or in my case, I left corporate to be an entrepreneur. It's gonna find me there. So wherever you go, if you don't master that skill now, you're leaving a lot of things that could improve your livelihood in many ways. And also, you're going to be overworked. You're gonna feel undervalued. You are going to wonder, why can no one see my value? And you're going to end up bringing that home.
Absolutely.
So I think it's better to face your fear, but something that I love you said that I want to go back to because we said it at the beginning, but I don't want to stop it there is you need to know what you want.
Yeah.
And let's go there for a little bit because I love every single one of our employees, but there's been many times there's like they applied to 4 different jobs in the course of 3 years, and none of those jobs look like the other. They're just a promotion, and or the perception of a promotion, because sometimes that's all that is, right? A title doesn't mean promotion, and it's just means that you have a different role, at least in my book. So how do you tell our guests more about why knowing what you want specifically can help them advance faster? Because I think that's the number one golden rule before we start advocating. What are they gonna be advocating for you? What are you advocating for
Yeah.
yourself?
I think it's so important because corporations, big or small, are like a little system within themselves, right? A little city, if you will. And things move about, and either you will be moved or you will direct the movement, right? And so the corporation is always going to do what's best for the corporation. What I mean by that is when they see and recognize talent, like a Carol, they're
Mhm.
going to say, here's all the ways that Carol can bring more value to the company. She is an outstanding salesperson. She's a great people leader. We're going to put her in this spot and let her do what she does. And you just said it. You work harder, longer, faster than most of your peers. So you are delivering both consciously and candidly subconsciously. The corporation is benefiting as long as you're in that spot. And for a while, you benefit too.
Yeah,
Eventually, though, the corporation benefits more than you do as an individual.
yeah,
Why? Because you are giving to other people, you are bringing in sales, you are impressing customers. The corporation's getting. What's that doing for you as the individual? Right? Yes, you
yeah,
might get some pay increases and maybe some exposure, but let's say that really you don't want to do sales anymore, right? Maybe you want to go into finance. Maybe you want to go into HR. But the
yes,
corporation is benefiting while you're right here. So
yeah,
knowing what you want is how you maneuver through the system and how you ensure that you are getting the things that you need to feed you and what it is you want for your career. And the corporation is getting what they want instead of only the corporation getting what they want.
yeah. It's not a
Does that? It
reciprocal
is not.
relationship. I like how it feels when I'm the do-it-all. I like how it
I,
feels when I'm the
yeah,
know-it-all. I like to be the person people come to for questions, and I have all the answers.
yeah.
So, I've been there. I'm a reformed
We all
person in
have.
that
We all
department.
have.
So, what would you say to a leader that wants the next role, but you can tell that that feeds them?
Yeah. So usually I will go back to, we're coaches, right? So I'm just going to ask some questions. And
Yeah.
I think the first one I'm going to ask is really, how is that feeling working for you in the long term?
Mm,
Like, what does that really do for you long term? And then, secondly, because leaders like that usually say, and I care so much and want my team to be successful. And so I then say, well, how is that growing your team? How is that helping them to develop? Right. And then I think the last piece is just at the end of the day, what is it that you really want? Again, because if it's just that feeling, that is fleeting and that is not something that is sustainable in the current environment.
no.
You can't always be in that position. And if you get there and stay for a while, I can assure you that people around you are moving out and moving on and you are
Yeah.
getting stuck in a spot. Corporations and the way that people operate and the way that corporations operate, the pace is just moving too quickly for you to always be the expert. It
Yeah.
is not a realistic expectation or something that you can maintain, and it stifles you and your team. So those are the questions that I usually try to challenge and push people towards. I
I love
think,
this.
I'll share an example. A few years ago, helped to lead a pretty big system change in my corporation at the time when I was in corporate. And this is an example of where I failed to create the right level of advocacy. We
Mm.
delivered a tremendous system overhaul under budget in time right before we shut down for COVID. It was tremendous. And I did not do it alone. There was a team of 30 people internationally known across the organization, a huge budget. And so great work. And 6 months later, when it was time to have conversations about being promoted, my CHRO, not even my leader, but my leader's leader, came to me and said, "Hey, you did great work. But when I talked to the senior HR leaders, there was limited advocacy for you."
Wow.
And part of it had been I had a team of people who were, my peers, the direct reports of the senior team that we were working with. And through every step of the project, I talked about how great the team was, naming people, being sure to call out what they were doing, and thinking that people would see that I, number one, knew how to share spotlight, number two, that I could lead a team and get the best out of all the people, and that we would deliver. And they did see all of those things. But I failed to share my specific accomplishments in leading that team and where I had set the strategy or I had been the one who determined who did what on the project part of the work. And so when it came time for people to sort of give credit or provide advocacy, I hadn't given the ammunition that I'm talking about.
You haven't
So
given them the speaking.
exactly.
What do I need you to say about me in this meeting?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I hadn't shared my facts. I had not shared my facts. And I had assumed they could see that through my work. Right. And
And
this
better
isn't that long
confidence.
ago, Carol. This is probably 6 or 7 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
even when I tell it, I get that feeling in my stomach, like, I
Yeah.
coach people about it today because it's such a real example.
But
So,
again, it's a human behavior and also
absolutely.
taught
Absolutely.
because, for me, it's hard. I had a leader when I was advocating for myself, and this is how I knew it was not the right leader for me, especially where I was at in my career, where it said that I sounded like I had a chip on my shoulder.
Mm,
And I
mm,
will never forget that because to your point, I was sharing facts, but I also wanted to give enough ammunition for you to advocate for me. What do you recommend for people that are in situations where they feel like their leaders seem unwilling to advocate for you, or they are in situations where they're looking for that advocation and are not finding them?
yeah.
I have my advice. I want to hear yours.
Well, I think a couple things. I think number one, I am always pushing people to use your words. So if you are sensing or feeling that, I always say, call it out, lay it on the
Mhm.
table and ask the question. It seems like we are struggling to meet this point. I'm hearing this, you're saying this. Where are we missing each other? What am I saying that you think is getting in the way of our communication? So that's number one.
Nice.
Number two is widen your circle. I would not, your mother always told you don't put all your eggs in one basket. It is the same with this. So
Right.
even if it's your direct leader, you try to get to the bottom of whatever the communication gap might be. But then I would ask some other people and I would continue to widen my circle so that there's more than one voice in the room. And
Yeah.
then the last piece is I would seek some feedback.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are perceptions or we have blinders on. So let's
Yeah.
just be sure that there's not something that we are unintentionally or subconsciously doing. So I would just seek some additional feedback to make sure that I have the right perception of how I'm coming across.
I just love that.
Before we continue, a quick shout out to today's sponsor, HIK Trainings. If you're ever wanting to level up your leadership skills or bring real connection back to your remote team, check out hiktrainings.com.
The reality is, you don't need another leadership workshop. You need a leadership system that transforms how you lead. The HIK method is our 6-week neuroscience-informed leadership program that reshapes the way high-performing managers think, connect, and deliver results. Grounded in self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and coaching skills, this isn't about managing tasks. It's about mastering yourself, earning trust, and building teams that perform because they feel seen. Designed for managers ready to evolve from operators into leaders, and for organizations ready to transform and build a culture that retains them. Leadership isn't discovered, it's designed. Design yours with the HIK method. Visit hiktrainings.com/ HIK method.
And we're back. You're listening to Coffee and Coaching, where we blend real conversations with real growth. Let's jump in.
What is your advice?
My advice is there's plenty of fish in the sea, and you will know your value once you put your resume out there and you start getting interviews, and it will be a great learning experience. And because I think I see so many leaders that it's like, it breaks my heart. Like, you've been in this role for so long, so
Yes.
long. You have
Yeah.
gained only experiences and skills for this one company, right? And there's so many more things out there to explore and to learn that sometimes I feel like the loyalty gets in the way of the person's success, and it hurts me. And you can like coach it and tell it. I've had, in prior roles, I have given my employees, hey, you need me to pay for you for a resume builder? Like, I want you to be seeked by other companies. Companies want people that other companies want, right?
Absolutely.
So, like, I just see them, and then they keep seeing people coming from the outside, getting the jobs that they so hardly want, but they don't have the skill set because they have been in the same company for so long. So with
Absolutely.
that,
Mhm.
the opposite strengths Tammy and I have. Tammy, in her top 5, she has empathy, which is wonderful because she can almost perceive the feelings of that's I believe why you've been so successful in HR and as a manager and a leader, because you can almost perceive and sense it, and is my number 31. So there's times that Tammy needs to bring me back in as a coach and be like, let's think about it from this way. And for me,
I like how your voice changes when you talk about me. Do I sound like that in your head? No, go ahead. Go
no, no,
ahead.
no. You're so much more engaging, and we work for a long time. So Tammy has this personality where when she talks, people like want to tell them their entire lives. Like, even if we are in a meeting room and it's just a 5-minute presentation. Hi, how are you doing? I went grocery shopping this morning. And I did that.
Stop.
No, but
I
needless to
can't.
say, it's good because we, from my perspective, I kind of remove emotions and think logically. And Tammy's always like, Karol, you can't remove emotions. We need emotions in there because we're human. So that interaction happens a lot as well when we are creating programs for HIK. So I do appreciate you a lot for that. I do want to leave you all with this. There's so much gold here. I don't even know where to start, but I love the sharing facts for self-advocacy. I think that was a really good takeaway that a lot of us don't have. And knowing what you want will completely change the course of your career. No, I
If
was
I could close with one thing, I would just say this. I would say start with your own sort of self assessment. Back to the question that Karol started and that we have repeated, understanding what it is that you want. Write it down. And then I would start small. Take 3 to 5 people and sort of put them next to what it is that you want and sort of write out what can each of them do to help you get there, person by
wow.
person. It could be just a couple of bullets, but just start to get in your mind, I want this thing, these 5 people can help me, and here's how each of them can help. And then give each of them just a couple of nuggets about what you're working on, what you have done, whether you have been super successful or whether you just got it done, but share so that they can start. And then you sharing that information with them is practicing self advocacy. So you're doing it all while you are building that advocacy by just going to them and saying, hey, I really think I want the next opportunity to lead X team. Let
Yep.
me share with you a little bit about what I did on leading my past team that you may not be aware of, and see where that gets you. I promise you it'll get easier every time you do it, and breaking it down in those steps will just make it a much more natural process. I
I
hope I didn't
love
interrupt you. I just wanted to share that
No, no, no,
example.
no. I love that so much. And there were some comments in the chat that I did wanted to bring it up, and that's what I was looking at. But someone, and this makes my heart happy because this is why we do those sessions, even if just one person. Sarah said, I really needed to hear this today. Thank you.
Love it.
And another COO mentioned, Miss Jelena. She mentioned that this session was very helpful. So it's incredible. And this I also want to say, because when I gave the comment of I'll just start looking for your resume and putting yourself out there, this also comes from a place of experience for anyone listening. I was in one company for 12 years. And I learned a lot, and it was wonderful. And I have lifetime friends that I've made from there. But sometimes it's not going to look like what you thought it was going to be. So whatever that thing is, self-advocacy is going to be needed. So I hope that this episode helped everyone. And Hoping Tammi can join us again in the future for another one of these. And I want to leave you all with Tammi. It is a coach, and she also helps with advocacy as well. People looking for promotion. So if you're interested in booking some time, whether it is with her through HIK Trainings or directly, please feel free to send us a note and we will send you the link and information. Kate is all over it. And we have some advocacy programs that are coming at HIK Trainings that will be here soon. So very excited about that. You see how I self-advocated there, Tammi?
I'm so proud. I was just going to say, well done. I'm so proud of you.
I'm working.
You're doing great. Thank you for having me, Karol. I so appreciate it. I'm so proud of you and your team and all that you all are doing. Great
Thank
work.
you so much. Thank you.
Wow, Tammi really did an amazing job in this conversation that we just had. And I could not stop taking notes, guys. It's incredible how every time I meet with my own colleagues, I'm like, wow, I didn't even thought about that. And not just because I'm thinking about me as a coach, but sometimes I see myself in that coaching share, even though we're just having a genuine conversation. We cover why advocacy is a non-negotiable skill required in 70% of coaching conversations that we currently have. And we talk about that 30% of your time being focused on building relationships, showcasing your abilities for that next role. But more importantly, Tammi talked about sharing facts about your work and to also pay attention into the organization that you're in when sharing facts becomes an issue. I think that we have a lot of takeaways from today, and I want to let you know that we are here for you. I hope that you are taking away some really good nuggets on what to do for your career in your company, and that today becomes the day where you put together a plan on how am I going to advocate for myself better and how I'm going to receive that feedback for the advocation as well. I'm very happy to have you here today and to have you listen in to one of the best conversations we've had in Coffee and Coaching. We have many more episodes coming up. So talk to you next time. Take care.